I am so grateful and so excited to have this next guest here for Tough Talk today. Karole Foreman is an award-winning actor, singer, writer, and director with over 40 years of experience. She has performed in hundreds of professional theatrical productions over the past 44 years. She recently finished the 2023 first Broadway national tour of 1776 the musical, playing Robert Livingston. I saw it and I loved it. Karole received a 2019 Ovation Award for her portrayal as Billie Holiday in Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill at International City Theater in Long Beach and the Ebony Rep in Los Angeles. She will be reprising her role as Billie Holiday with Lady
Yes.
Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill here in 2024 at Signet Theater. Karole Foreman, good morning and welcome to Tough Talk.
Good morning, Brother BJ. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to Tough Talk. I can't wait to get in it with you.
Oh, I cannot wait either. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in and we'll start with the easy check-in. How are you and 2024 doing? How is your world at this moment as a human being and as an artist?
Oh, what a beautiful question. That is full. Wow, as I was relating to you earlier, the morning got off to an interesting start professionally. I'm learning to trust my instincts more about myself, about people that I'm working with, being more discerning about, not that I haven't been, but being really conscious about and discerning of people that I'm associating with and working with and spending my very precious time with. So, my intentions in 2024 are just to really be present with that and honoring my own innate instincts based on the many years of experiences.
It's wild how it's hard to listen to our own instincts sometimes.
Very,
And we can do it as artists, but then
yeah.
sometimes as humans, it seems so
Mm.
much more difficult.
I don't know. I think sometimes that translates into your art as well. I think you also are, or you bring all of that stuff with you. I think the arts or any creative process or practice,
Mhm.
you have to tap into that river of that subconscious, of everything that's ever happened, whether or not you're mindful of it. And sometimes you pull out stuff that you don't want to look at, but you need to look at.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that practice, the personal practice, definitely translates into the creative work.
Does. Those things that you pull out sometimes, like those are the tough truths that,
Mhm.
that we tend to have to face, like it or not.
Oh, what am I gonna do with this? And certainly the past few years have challenged us, and there's a lot of ugly stuff. There's a lot of beautiful stuff. And really, what are we going to engage, and what does that engagement look like? Are we going to continue to try to bury our heads in the sand and back away from it and pretend it doesn't exist, and then things stay the way they are and they just kind of fester you
Hmm.
know
Hmm. I mean, you've engaged in so many facets of the arts, and you've done work in and out of San Diego. What's been I feel like it's still a broad question, but it's what's been the most eye-opening experience for you in the arts?
Wow. Wow. It's always something different. How much more I still have to grow. um how much more I really need to be grounded in my confidence as a human being, as an artist, and so much, and especially as an actor. I can't speak so much to the other disciplines. It's offering up of yourself, saying yes
Hmm.
to things. When I was a writer and when I'm producing and when I was dealing with people in, professional situations in terms of being on the other side of the table, let's put it
Hmm.
that way. No is much more powerful than saying yes and trying to get along with everyone and being a team player and being agreeable, is seen as a weakness, and in those positions of what we call power. I've discovered that sometimes the people behind the tables, the people who are assessing us sometimes
Hmm.
are uh, massively insecure, more insecure than we are, which was a huge surprise to me, because, they're putting up the money,
Yeah.
They have the institutions that they are keeping propped up. So they have a lot of, they've got shareholders, they've got board directors, board members, audiences, trying to keep those audiences coming into the space, trying to pay for this multi-million-dollar building, just the rent and the utilities. So there's a lot at stake for people producing. It's interesting to navigate that space and trying to communicate that you aren't wanting to be an adversary, but you're wanting to be a partner with them. And that I'm in a unique position to where I see kind of what's going on the ground level. And if I'm communicating something to them that we need in order to really, I'm working with them to sustain what they're doing, to magnify, to make better, to improve. And also what I need artistically and professionally in order to do a great job that makes them look good.
Hmm.
So it's that constant back and forth. And if you can find a partner, which I feel like I have with people at the Ebony Rep, they're just like my artistic soulmates. I love Ren T. Brown. I love Gail Hooks. The people there, when you walk into the building, we've just clicked. Ren and I came up through the same training program in the early 80s in Los Angeles, and our paths kept crossing like this. And when he brought me in to interview for Lady Day, we realized we were on the same page. I wasn't thinking that way, but I just really loved his vision and where he was coming from, and it was in alignment with the research that I had been doing. When I was
Wonderful.
talking about really wanting to be in alignment with creative projects and people who I love and respect and admire, not only personally but professionally, and try to also, from my end, have a deeper understanding of the artistic vision and intention of the institution. I feel that way about PCPA up in Santa Maria. I love and appreciate their value system of wanting to not only entertain, but how you're training up the next generation of artists. And they always encouraged us as professional artists to share our time and our knowledge, whatever that these young artists need.
Hmm.
I had great people who were my mentors. So being in those environments, I find personally and artistically incredibly satisfying.
You were born in Morocco,
I
uh,
was born in Morocco.
and you were
Born
raised in San Diego, and then obviously training as well through LA. How does the SoCal art scene compare and contrast to New York, to Florida, to anywhere else in the world? I mean, you have been everywhere with your art in so many different.
Yeah, I love San Diego. It's great. It's a thriving, it's a healthy artistic community. Audiences know what they're doing. Why do you think Broadway producers come to San Diego to try out their stuff kind of quietly, they say? There's incredible talent here,
Mhm.
just as good as shows I've seen in New York and regional theater. There's great training here. I've worked with people out of UCSD, out of San Diego State, people that I've worked with in the theaters here in town and productions that I've seen. I've had the pleasure of coming down and seeing, and a number of friends and colleagues. I'm always proud to come back here and to do work, and thrilled to be a part of this community, even though I live in Los Angeles now. But I had wonderful mentors and teachers from high school on. One of my high school drama teachers, Susan Shattuck, I'm still in touch with. She gave us the first inklings of what it was like to work professionally, by really extending yourself and trying to have an understanding of what people do. We had to learn lighting design. We had to work building sets and props and doing costumes. Direct. She had us writing our own plays. I wrote a musical that she helped me take on tour when I was in high school. So, I've always loved the artistic community here. Um, and I love coming back home to be able to just be here and enjoy the environment.
Mhm. And I mean, you kind of brought me back to thinking about when I was growing up, that even though you might have gotten involved for one particular aspect of the organization or the arts or the music, whatnot,
Hmm.
you did learn the rest. You know, if
Mm.
even if you just wanted to play an instrument, great, but you still learned about organizing music for a full band. If you
Ah,
wanted to just sing
wow.
and dance on stage, great, but you also signed up to still help with painting some of the
Yep.
sets. And there was such a nice roundedness into understanding that you might have the thing you want to do in this, but that's not going to happen if the other
Yeah.
dozen things aren't being taken care of, you know?
Yeah, and remembering, yeah, the arts is it's a collaborative art form. It's a collaborative experience, um, and and also it's practical in its application. You know, you could
Yeah.
pivot and turn around and music direct. You could pivot and write a chart. You know, someone needs a chart for maybe a church gig. You know, they can hire you
Hmm.
for that. You know, you have consulting. You can teach. So you have all of these different avenues, and to me, I don't see them as separate. You know, interesting kind of along my path, I've always run into people that say, you know, make yourself as versatile as possible. So you have an opportunity not only to practice your craft, but to make a living. And, you know, my goal was I want to be a working actor. I want to be a working performing artist. That was my goal when I ran all the way to LA from San Diego. You know, I probably should have gone to New York, but that was a little overwhelming for me. But I did a musical theater training program at the Music Center and got out and got my equity card with my first gig after that training program, which, you know, I did not know how lucky I was until years later, or how maybe unusual. I don't know. It was, you know, so when I turn around and direct a play or write a musical, and or now I'm moving more into producing my own stuff and work that I really love and feel committed to. People say, "Well, what are you? What do you do? Don't you have to identify yourself?" I'm like, "Well, I'm me. I'm a human being and I
Hmm.
love the arts and mama wants to make a living. So
Hmm.
I have no shame in asking for money." Which that's what I love about the yes and I'm curious. I'm just curious about creating. I love to create. I love the creative process. I love artists and I love creators. I mean, I'm married to a visual artist. So and he's wonderful and he's uncompromising. He said that early on he made an agreement with himself that he was going to do whatever he wanted to creatively,
Mm.
whether or not it was commercially successful. And I have a huge amount of respect for that. And so I admire that a lot and I really watch that and his, you know, the integrity that he has and he stands in that. So that's been also a great education for me. I've had partners that made me turn down major auditions where I felt, in order for this relationship to work, I have to compromise.
Mm.
And yeah, it's like little pieces of your soul getting killed.
Yeah.
You know, partners who undermined me, um, which is heartbreaking to say
Yeah.
until I
Yeah.
figured it out and did better.
Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill opens with
Yes.
previews on January 24th at Signet Theater. Everyone
Whew.
get tickets now. I don't know if you have a particular favorite song of Billie Holiday's or take on a song from hers. And then kind of just all things Billie Holiday. What are some of the most interesting things you've discovered about Billie Holiday or something interesting that people seem to not be as aware of about Billie
Hmm.
Holiday?
That's a great question. Well, one of my favorite performances songs is her Baby Get Lost. I think her voice and performance is the most pristine, uh, exuberant, musically. I mean, the way she uses her voice instrumentally, and also she's a great storyteller, BJ. I think so many people are drawn into her because they feel like they're having a lived experience with her.
Mm.
And that's what I love about her so much as an artist. One of the things I admire most about Lady Day is that we remember her, what, 60 plus years later, not because she had an addiction, many addictions, um, and not, you know, of course we know now finding out more about how she was singled out and targeted by the feds and by the Drug Enforcement Agency that was newly created to round up all the Black jazz musicians. You know, I don't know if people know that, but it was a concerted effort by Anslinger,
Mhm.
who was a rabid racist and really did not like Billie Holiday. And she was an easy target. When they found out that the jazz musicians were too organized for them to round them all up at once, who is the easiest target? Oh, yes, a female in a male dominated musical form. Let's take her out. And they were relentless in their pursuit of her. And that's all documented now. A woman named Linda Kuehl, her writings led to the creation of uh, the United States versus Billie Holiday. So, you know, we're having this information. So, in spite of all of that, she created some of the most profound music and musical performances of the 20th century, and still, I think, is one of the greatest female vocalists of the 20th century. She's one of the great American artists. So, and the more that I dive into the story, and I've been performing her since 2019, and I'm still reading material, and there's still, even during the lockdown, there was a wealth of material for me to re-examine and to go deeper into the investigation of her and her life. She ushered in the civil rights movement with strange fruit. She was calling out people saying, "You're killing us, and you don't give a damn. You are stringing us up because you do not see us as human beings." And I'm standing up here and saying, "I am." And that horrifies you. Shame on you.
Mm.
And the fact that we still need to do that, you know, and I'm going to turn this around, look at what's happening culturally and politically, you know, what
That
we're rolling back. Yeah, there are people that insisting that this country is only for certain people. This is what she was standing up against. Your whole platform of tough talk, the murder of George Floyd. This is your standing up and saying, this is what is happening. What are you going to do about it? This is what I'm doing about it. I'm talking about it. I'm telling you the truth. Courage, courage. And why I feel it's imperative that we still continue to investigate her life and legacy. It's an honor, it's a privilege, it's in alignment with my values, you know, as a human being, what I've grown up with. Such a privilege to be able to step into her shoes every night and attempt to convey something about her experience and humanity that's going to allow people the opportunity to enter into her story and to find empathy and compassion for her and for our experiences as Black people in this country, as anyone in this country that supposedly isn't supposed to be part of this American dream.
I'm so grateful that you are bringing this work to San Diego.
Thank you.
I really hope everyone who gives any hoot about our theater community will be there, and I hope a whole bunch of other people will be there as well.
Thank you. I want to see more Black and brown folks in that audience for
Um,
sure, because
yes,
the story is for everyone. You know, it's a reminder of also our great cultural legacy and contribution to the arts,
yes.
not only in this country but internationally. I mean, worldwide. There's not a place on the planet that is not affected by Black American
Mm,
culture.
mm.
There's not a place on the planet that is not touched, does not admire our artistic art forms. Period.
True. This is true. And this is a return for you personally to Signet Theater.
Yes,
Do
all
you have
connected.
any personal like artistic rituals or anything with Signet?
I just take a moment just to stand there and take in the space. You know, I've stood in theaters before that I've never been in, and I was like, I'm going to work here one day. You
Mm,
know, if I really want to do that, like I did that at the Taper, you know, when I was young, I just stood there. And I ended up doing a couple of shows there. I did Jelly's Last Jam and Parade recently. So it's like the
yes.
power of your word and intention. But my rituals, before shows. To me, the whole experience of theater is ritual. You know, you get there, you sign in, you sit at your space. You know, you have some hot tea, some people warm up. I like to get quiet, and I'll go through lines, and the ritual of putting on that mask. Because the act of going into a theater space where the lights go down and you're entering into that womb of experience. Greek art, this art of theater, is the only thing that's been commercially commodified. You know, you go to Southeast Asia, you go to Africa, you go to, the idea of people gathering together to witness a dance or to witness music or whatever tradition is very community based. It's something it's a conversation between the practitioner and the people who are witnessing, bearing witness to it. It's an affirmation of our humanity. It's an affirmation of our collective experience in the sacred space. You know, you are there to get out of yourself. You are there to receive something that's going to give you another point of view, another way of being, a different understanding of someone else's human experience. It's going to give you maybe a relief for a few moments and reassure you that, oh, things are going to be okay. But I think in some way it's an expansion of ourselves. And I think after this lockdown, we've been yearning to have this space. There's also an exchange of pheromones, you
Mm,
know, that if that tactile experience of touching, our
yeah.
breath, our spit, our sweat, their breath, their sweat, their pheromones, that is
Mhm.
all having a landing on you in a way, physiologically, subconsciously. So we're having this communal experience. The whole act of theater, of public performing, of music, of dance, of art of any kind, to me is all a sacred experience. So I think it's the conscious awareness of entering into that space that you're going to participate in something that is going to change you on some level.
Let's do a quick little like rapid fire of some this or that's. Do you prefer when you've got auditions and you're going through finding your works that you're going to be a part of? Do you prefer if you have to submit yourself singing or if you have to submit tapes and going through actual scenes and sides? Do you have a
Hmm.
preference, I guess?
I guess I would say sides because it's immediately accessible to me.
Do you have a preference to when it comes to camera work and on-camera work, whether it's on TV or on film?
Oh, I love both. I'm loving film more and more. The time there's well, not always. You're always battling the sun or some deadline. uh Well, that was a good experience too. I'm thinking of Dahmer. Dahmer felt more like a film to me than a
Mm,
TV show. Multi-camera is the closest to live theater performances because you have an audience, but there's something about it that's a bit artificial, and there's so many people changing things last minute, and you have to be really quick that way because it's like writing by committee. There's so many people. That
mm,
wasn't funny. They're going for the funny.
yeah,
And that's a lot of pressure, and then it feels like kind of a canned laughter, and I'm like, "Is this working or not?" It's weird.
yeah.
I really like film. I think there's a different kind of thoughtful process that I really like, even though some TV work feels like film.
Similar vein, then, do you have a preference to being on camera for work or just being on stage?
The older I get, I really like on camera. It
Interesting.
yeah. I know that's loaded,
That's all right.
Make of
Okay.
that what you will, but
Okay.
theater is athletic. Theater is
Oh,
sustaining stuff for a long period of time.
yes.
Film, it's like if you get it right, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, and what's next? Let's
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
In all of your travel, I kind of kept it, I guess, really talking about just the United States. But do you have a preference of East Coast food or West Coast food?
Oh, West
Maybe
Coast
it's hard to say.
food.
West Coast food?
Yeah, I miss those handmade tortillas, man. Whenever I'm back in New York, you
Mm,
can't get you can't get Mexican or Latin food like you can.
yeah.
Well, it depends, from the region regions there, the Latin region.
Yeah.
Delicious. But I grew up in San Diego, so like
Of a preference of warm weather or cold weather?
warm, warm.
Yeah.
This, what, 56 degrees, 40, what? No, we can't go out like that in Cali. No.
Last question, and this is sort of, I say, like the big impact dream, and we've been talking about this in many ways, but um, what advice can you offer to young aspiring artists, especially artists of color? And I like to say, like, what advice would that be that you would like to be quoted on for centuries?
Handle your business, know your business, value yourself, know your value, figure that out. What is it that you need to do in order to be compensated for your work in a way that's going to give you a comfortable lifestyle so you do not have to stress about your money? Take business classes. That's the best thing I could give you going into this business if you want to, work in anything that you go into. And know your worth. Know you're good enough. Keep getting better. Every professional goes back. Doctors go back to study. People have to go back and re-examine their work and their craft because we are in an art form that evolves and changes. We had huge changes just during the pandemic. I had to learn how to edit and be my own photographer and lighting designer and makeup and
Right.
those types of things, and the platforms that we're working on and with. Stay on top of your business.
On top of it before others
Hmm.
try to get in it. I always say,
Because trust me, someone else will. They see
yeah.
something of value that you don't value, they have no problem taking it away from you or wanting to claim ownership of it. Own it. Learn how to incorporate, learn how to copyright, learn how to patent if need be. Residual income is a beautiful thing.
Mm. So much knowledge in getting to just have this time with you, Karole Foreman. I'm so grateful and so appreciative. Thank you for taking time and making time to be a part of the conversations on Tough Talk.
BJ, this was absolutely no problem. I love your platform. I love you and what you do and what you offer to this community. So grateful to you. Thank you for doing what you do. We need you.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, brother.